Also, there was an alternative date for the presentation of Ron Anderson's nomination certificate for Citizen of the Year, and I didn't attend the Carlton Surf Lifesaver State Champs because I was chasing livestock. So with those amendments, can I have someone to move, if that's the word. I was thinking of cows. Move. Move the recommendation that the Mayor's communication report be listed be received. So Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Campbell second. Thank you. Right, open the floor to questions with those amendments. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Larkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question regarding your meeting with Minister Pearce. He holds quite a few portfolios there that are of interest. Would you be able to update me on each that are listed?
So we presented a long list for discussion, but we were asked to narrow it down to 4 main items. So as Primary Industries Minister, he was promoting the South East Irrigation Scheme, and we were discussing the challenges to the local rural producers, and that the scheme didn't quite reach far enough or didn't have the capacity, the cost, the time scale, how it sort of doesn't fit with the local producers unless they are corporate backed because of the time scale and the investment required. And also we briefly covered the water availability within the catchment as well, and the dry periods that we have. So there are extraction periods out of the creeks, but the creeks aren't flowing at that particular time, so it's an ongoing issue. The feral deer, because our NRM officer, Dibas, and I have worked to some degree with parks to form a plan for the eradication of feral deer, which is a bit of a hot topic at the moment with the motions being put forward in Parliament to make recreational shooting the primary mode of deer control, but we'd like to focus on deer eradication because of the impact it can have on crops and grazing and agricultural infrastructure as well, and the challenges of control in the peri-urban environment that we have, the proximity of the homes to agriculture. Rural abattoirs, so currently any livestock going for commercial slaughter basically has to travel to the other end of the state up north. We are 20 minutes from an airport, which could provide white box chilled products to Asia, yet we currently don't have that facility to create a local brand or support our local meat producers to take advantage of a premium market or to value add to their product, which a rural abattoir would do, especially if we could create a southeast brand. The final topic was around the RSL and the management of, because so many RSLs seem to be struggling at the moment. The GM, that was really the GM's focus on creating a sustainable management plan and encouraging, helping, supporting the RSL, particularly our Sorel RSL, to be the best that it possibly could. Since then, it's been highlighted that Primrose RSL are maybe struggling as well. So that's something that we need to look into further. And the Minister Pearce is the Minister for Veterans Affairs. He's an ex-serviceman, and he's very passionate about supporting veterans and servicemen. So we managed to fit a lot into an hour, I believe. So that was a very long-winded explanation of what we did.
Thank you for the detail.
Any
Mayor, could you elaborate on the Broom Creek working partnership that you had a meeting, I believe, with the committee or some members of the committee? Does that mean financial support or?
That was part of the discussion. Broom Creek Show is probably the major event in our municipality, attracting the most number of people, and how the costs of the show are rising. The organisers are struggling to cover the costs of toilets and traffic management and waste removal. So it was a sort of a round table discussion on how council can best support the show and partner with the show. Is that in terms of in the financial, literally handing over the dollars, or can we use some of our skills and our own resources to support the show as well? So I think that's the Show Society went away to decide where the best fit is, and then I'm not sure whether they'll come back to the GM to continue that discussion.
Thank you. Interesting.
Yeah. Any others? Sorry.
Thank you. The Taswater half-yearly briefing, we've heard a lot in the media in recent weeks about the proposed increase in Taswater charges as part of their long-term infrastructure plan. Was there any update on that provided at this point?
Well, there seem to be a lot of, we now have to cut our cloth accordingly and revisit the plans and still do the best we can with the limited funding, and really the focus is on improving and preventing the wastage, either the leaks or and they also have to upgrade those facilities that aren't meeting compliance standards as well. So that's the focus. The new and upgraded they're going to have to reassess those and revisit the fees.
Okay, thanks.
Anything further? No? All those happy with the report? Unanimous, thanks very much. Oh, sorry. Councillor Merrick, I will shift slightly so I can see you. No supplementary items, so we will turn over. There on page 8, item 8 is the council workshop reports. Following that, no questions on notice or motions on notice. Item 11 is the work group reports. The recommendation that the work group reports as listed be received. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Nichols and Councillor Campbell, thank you. Any questions for the General Manager or anybody else? Councillor Trennis.
General Manager, could I ask about GHD's traffic engineering, what do they call it, assessment for Old Forest Road and Lewisham Scenic Drive? I'm particularly interested in Lewisham Scenic Drive, as I've been wanting something to happen there for a long time.
Yeah, through the Mayor. So the trigger was more so Old Fawcett Road, where we wanted to get an independent, effectively like safety assessment done before the pool becomes operational, around pedestrian circulation mainly, and separately engaged at the same time to do an independent assessment of Lewisham Scenic Drive and the options around how we might get pedestrian access along it, as we've discussed, from sort of China Creek to most of the way around toward the service station. So they looked at 3 options and gave a view on what is probably going to be the easier of the two out of the 3 to implement. I just thought while we had them engaged for Old Fawcett Road to get them to do it, because we need to get to the point where we go for some comms engaged around options, and I thought having the independent assessment done to start with will help to say we've already investigated.
And it's not an easy fix.
No, it sort of comes down to sort of impact on residents, both with potential loss of on-street parking, and then it's around cost to council if there's going to be a one-way approach to how many driveway entrances need to be rectified, which would be facing the wrong way. So, narrowed it down to 2 of the 3 being more feasible and 1 being significantly cheaper to implement, but would affect on-street parking also.
Were we able to access
Yeah,
that?
I was waiting for one of my managers to return from leave, but she did so last week because she was part of the scoping exercise with them and hadn't had a chance to review them. So I wanted her to have a look at them first, and then I'm happy to circulate with the councillors. It's
Thank you.
interesting reading. So
I'm sure.
Councillor Campbell.
Thank you.
Thanks. Just in relation to our youth hub, can I have an update? And I saw that there was the pizza day. How did that go on the 30th of January? So there was a soft launch.
Yeah, I'm actually not across maybe his pub update since returning from leave, other than that event occurred, and I know that they've been progressing a lot to do with the child and youth safety framework, and that's been one of their key priorities for the work they've been doing along with that day.
Thank you. And just another one in relation to health and wellbeing and ageing. It says that we're exploring initiatives. Just wondering what they are. What are we looking into?
Through the Mayor, there's a few things that the community development team are looking at. The main one at the moment that they've received a proposal and quote for is fitness in the park for a pilot program. I think for a week program in St George's Square.
Yeah, nice. Because I noticed that Clarence do something similar. There's like a QR code in their park. So yeah.
So that's what they're similar.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Thank you.
Any others? No? You happy? Okay.
Sorry, I just noticed I had made a note I was looking for. Thank you. Just some clarification on page 12, the facilities and recreation report. There's a chart which has Cropping and Dunalley blank and Primrose isn't on it. Is that rules that I was a bit confused about what the chart was for, because Dunalley is a council facility but managed by the community, for example.
yeah, it's the same situation with Primrose. It's the
Yes.
exact same situation
Yes.
in a sense. So I was looking at myself just as the meeting started, wondering why. I mean, with Dunalley, we're sort of reliant on the committee or the association, providing the stats. Similarly with Primrose, but I don't know, it's been in use, but I'll rectify that for subsequent meetings.
It would seem that it's still useful to know how much they're being used, regardless of who's actually doing the day-to-day management.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just on that, I'd actually agree with that. It would be useful to know, but considering the halls are run by volunteers, we don't want it to be another onerous task for the volunteers to record and communicate that back to council.
True, but we do know that, particularly in Dunalley's case, they and Primrose, they know exactly who's using the hall. So
That is a requirement of the Dunalley hall to report usage to council.
Okay. Any further questions? No? All those happy with the recommendation, the work group reports as listed be received? All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you very much. So we move on to page 14, petition items still to be actioned, no change to the withdrawal of the Blue Lagoon draft management.
Through the mail, I did make a slight adjustment to the final paragraph where subsequent to advice from our planning manager with the new planning scheme that the permanent outfall solution wouldn't require DA, but would still need to go through the EBBC process, so I've extracted that out to make sure it was accurate.
Okay. Page 15, item 14, land use planning. 14.1, recommendation that the minutes of the Sorrel Planning Authority meeting of the 10th of February 2026 be noted. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Larkins and Councillor Nichols. Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Nichols to second. Any comment on those minutes? No? All those in favour of the recommendation? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 15, governance, place-based audit and plan. The recommendation that the council resolve to endorse the place-based audit and plan. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Nichols, Councillor Reid. Thank you. There was a good number of people engaged with this, the forming of this plan. Healthy engagement from the community, which was nice to see. Would anybody like to comment or ask a question on this? Councillor Reid.
Thank you. More of a comment really. It's taken a while, but I think it's been worth it to have such a comprehensive, well-grounded report that brings information about best practice, brings together information about best practice, but also applies that to our local area. So we've got detail specific to each area, which is fabulous. I guess my question is just confirming that the purpose of the report is to inform council and doesn't represent any particular commitment at this stage.
Through the mayor. No, that's accurate, Councillor Reid. It's been a really proactive and useful exercise for us to get an independent expert view on the forecast demographic profile and what it is currently, matching it to facility needs, how our facilities compare to what is best practice, and it makes a range of recommendations that we now need to work out how we prioritise them and build them into our financial plan. So it took slightly longer than anticipated, but content with the process and how thorough the engagement was with the consultant. And it's had, I guess, lots of pairs of eyes that look at it from within the organisation around the practice.
Councillor Nichols.
Just through the chair, my question leads on from what Councillor Reid was saying, and that is just what is the next step?
Yeah, through the chair, it's we're about to commence it where we're reviewing the forward program for new and upgrade projects. So we'll need to build into that the recommendations out of this and how we prioritise what sites we do in what order. And separately, we still have like an asset renewal process as well. So that's going to be combined projects. And one of the aspects we wanted out of it was sort of high level cost indications of all these various upgrades that are required. And I will say I can claim it was deliberate, but I looked at our financial plan and it was fairly close in terms of the recommendations that are likely to get implemented over the next sort of 3 to 5 years, and what provision we've made in our financial plan is fairly close. So I guess the test now will be when it gets to the design stage and going to market, just how close we are. But
Yeah. And just a supplementary, will there be a community engagement component for that process, or?
so through the mayor, I would say that the likelihood of us, when we get into the actual design stage or the scoping stage of an actual playground, there we would do some comms engagement in that, yeah.
Good, great,
We'll-
thank
we'll
you.
Probably, I'd say at this stage, we'll definitely be getting in some expertise to do that scoping.
Thank you.
Councillor Reid.
Through the chair. The two things I think. One is it's great to see that amenities, toilets, barbecues, picnic tables, etc., are addressed and included in the whole approach and recognised as important in the right places, in appropriate places, I should say. And again, it's a good example of the benefits of this work in taking us away from a, I guess you could call it a squeaky wheel, having to respond to needs on not quite ad hoc, but basis, but this giving us a comprehensive framework to go forward with. But just on that, the scope of this is has been council's own play spaces and potential play spaces. But I'm just noting that, as we know from the community facilities discussion, schools are being encouraged to open up, and there's discussion going on about schools opening up where they can their facilities to the wider community. That's not addressed here, but I suppose, is that something that we could add in or would have to consider in the future?
Through the mayor, it's sort of be difficult to add in now because we're obviously just focusing on our assets and our land. We sort of really couldn't. We certainly did discuss with the consultant around the sort of reality or likelihood of school facilities being utilised sort of out of hours as well. But as far as sort of council sort of having control over what role the schools should play in providing play facilities for the general population, it was sort of out of scope really. It was just focusing on what we can control and what assets are there effectively for 24/7 usage. I mean, it may be the case that with the Dodgers Ferry rebuild that there's the opportunity to utilise that as well, but it's
That discussion has been around for years and years and never gone anywhere. As far as the community using school assets.
But you can't assume use, and you don't want it to skew our data and our future decision making. It's an additional bonus. You can't.
Yes. But in terms of I suppose it's the broader context and the way it's presented. So just something to keep in mind. For example, Lagoon Park at Dodgers Ferry that's been deliberately kept a shared community space, even though it's on school land, which is a benefit to the community. Thank you.
Okay. All those happy with the recommendation that the council resolve to endorse the play space audit and plan? Those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Right, 15.2, the endorsement of the Wellington Forest Mountain Bike Trail business case and authorisation to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Glamorgan Spring Bay Council. The recommendation is there before you. Would you like me to read the whole recommendation, or are you? That the council endorses the Willangta Forest Mountain Bike Trail business case prepared by TRC Tourism, notes and agrees to the likely ongoing operational expenditure implications associated with the construction and ongoing operation of the Willangta Forest Mountain Bike Trail as outlined in the business case, and 3, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to enter a memorandum of understanding with Glamorgan Spring Bay Council regarding the construction, governance, operation and maintenance of the Willangto Forest mountain bike trail, subject to final legal review. There you go, I read it. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Reid and Deputy Mayor Larkins to second. Thank you. This is exciting. This is a big thing, and it's the first for the state. It's a one-way mountain bike track, not a circuit. So 70 kilometres of forest, basically. Can I open the floor for Councillor Marissa?
Thank you. Yes, it's a question about maintenance costs, and how is that going to be addressed, and which organizations will be part of it? Maybe it's for Mr. Higgins.
Through the mayor, so the business case was, we're quite happy. So Oliver Strickland helped a lot with this project, and certainly the consultants we engaged for the business case really knew their stuff, which was good, and not only looked at the capital cost of construction, but the ongoing operational expense for the life of the asset. So it's going to need quite an intricate structure set up between the two councils who need to take effectively a lease over the whole alignment all the way from Cullowby through to close to Orford. And basically each council will be responsible for cost share proportionally for the amount that's in each municipal area. So that's why with Oliver, so my instructions to him was it's on page 24, around looking at, because it's all very well to try and go and get funding for the capital cost, but once if that's provided and it gets built, then it sits on our balance sheet, and we're obliged to look after it for a long time. So I got Oliver to sort of proportionally split the ongoing operational expenses between, actually just for ourselves, it's we're going to be responsible for our area, and to take that figure and feed it into the financial plan and to see what the impacts are going to be and the extent to which it's going to eat into our forecast operating position over the next 10-year period. So that's where council needs to be to make informed decisions about what we commit to in terms of additional assets being built, whether it's a new building or this recreational asset as well. So I think it's fair to say that proportionally the economic benefit probably more so would be for that of Glamorgan Spring Bay Council. But it's been a CERTA project for nearly 10 years, and it's taken some time to progress through a strategic plan, business case, and we've got funding for both those through some state government commitments. So it's a case of, we were hoping that Glamorgan Spring Bay similarly this month would be also adopting effectively the same report and the same draft MOU, but I suspect it'll be probably next month or a little bit after they'll be in that position. Meeting with our local member this week, the two councils to talk about it. So through Jane Hallett, we got funding in the last election to do the business case. So just catching up with her to talk through what the outcomes of that were, where each council now sits.
Yeah, I think brilliant project, and it fits so well with all the public transport, with all the public space, and we really have so little in terms of where to go into nature in our municipality, apart from the coast. That this is a great project. So yeah, thank you for that.
I should just recognise through the mayor, like it's the concept is from a local resident and a property owner at Glamorgan Spring Bay, so Duncan Giblin and Wayne Chapman. It's their concept effectively in the South East Mountain Bike Trail Association. So they basically came to CERTA with the concept, and we've tried to help make it a reality. So now the challenge is going to be finding capital contribution to have it built. And I should say, just Oliver and I are quite careful around testing with other councils who have facilities, mountain bike facilities, around capital cost estimates and operational expenses, just make sure it was grounded in reality and it's fairly accurate, so to current costs, which is good.
Thank you.
Just a couple of queries. 30% of the track is in our municipality, is that correct?
That's through me. That's an Oliver and Robert Higgins guess. For the purposes of modelling, it's roughly that.
Just with the maintenance and the ongoing costs, an MOU, what legal, say, and I'm not suggesting this would happen, but if one council cannot afford to keep up the costs, or the maintenance costs, does the other council then have to step in and fit the bill for the whole lot, in other words? Under an MOU, sorry, Robert, yeah, is that?
Through me, that seem to be the questions that Glamorgan Stream Bay are cogitating over currently, which we've been pushing with them for quite some time around the reality of not only if we get the golden ticket from a government to build it, but then you've got to keep it maintained, and also the likelihood that a government may seek to add to the deal the obligation to look after Wellington Road as well. So already Glamorgan Stream Bay are responsible for their portion, which is probably two-thirds of Wellington Road's in their patch. We're not currently looking after the section of Wellington Road now, our area, but we're expecting that probably will be part of the catch if we were to get funding for it. So we're still, I've provided the draft MOU for councillors' benefit. I suspect there'll be some changes to it, and it's already happened, so Glamorgan Stream Bay have engaged their own legal review of it, and we're still trying to find a happy medium. But you're absolutely right as far as if the two parties don't want to play nicely anymore, who wears it, and we'll get to that point. Hopefully.
Well, hopefully you don't have to get to that.
No, it's worth raising it, and it's an issue. But you would think, given both parties are going this with eyes wide open, have been partnering throughout this, albeit someone else done the work, that there's an expectation that once we hit the go button on this, you can't sort of handball it to the other party if you want to run out of the room.
I see this as a foundation stone to kickstart the rest of the process to actually make it a reality.
And through you, man.
Regional benefit.
Yeah, and Oliver's proposed MOU based on the advice of the consultant with the business case who's seen these done around the world. So we've set it up along those lines, and it is only an MOU, but as the Mayor said, we've got to start.
Yeah. No, I suppose I was just the legal. Yeah. Anyway, that's all right. Thank you. You've explained it well.
Further questions? Councillor Reid.
Thank you. Through there, do we know, this has been, as you said, 10 years in the making and proposed by local experts, effectively, and then a lot of consultation across government through CERDA and RDA, etc. I'm just wondering about the local communities, for example, Sorrel and Kellerby, and whether it's been a community conversation to any extent, or this is sort of doing the groundwork and then that will come later.
Yeah, through the Mayor, there hasn't been a great deal of community consultation on this. It's been sort of working through at the strategic level, first of all, with the partners required, because it's a multi sort of land tender situation, and Sustainable Timber Tas have been really good. They've effectively drawn a line through mountain biking facilities, providing land for that, given some other reactions in other parts of the state, which were, I think, unfortunate and slightly ridiculous. So it's through a mutual contact where I would at least get a foot in the door with STT and get them to at least consider this. So we're really lucky that it's happened. Otherwise, it just wouldn't occur because most of it's on their land. But yeah, that broader community engagement hasn't happened at all. Really, it's just, is this thing going to stack up financially? Are we both going to play nice in the tent? Let's try and get some funding, and then we need to deal with the community around it.
Thank you. Anything further?
No? All happy with this recommendation? That the council, and I'm not going to read it all again, everyone happy with the recommendation there before you? Please show hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. Item 17 on page 35, we're into community relations. 17.1, safeguarding children and young people policy. The recommendation that the council resolve to endorse the updated safeguarding children and young people policy. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Reid, and seconded by Deputy Mayor Larkins. This is something that we have talked about for a while, but we need to get in place now as we have the youth hub. Can I open the floor to questions, discussion? Councillor Reid.
Thank you. I guess I'll just say that it's an updating of a policy that we already had, is my understanding. And it's great to be in that situation where we ensuring the policy is more practical for the work that we're doing with the Youth Hub and with others, but also noting the work that the Local Government Association of Tasmania is doing with councils around the state on child safeguarding and councils understanding their responsibilities and processes, so it comes at a good time in terms of clarifying where we're at. Happy to support it. Thank you.
Councillor Larkins, Deputy Mayor Larkins.
Thank you, Mayor Gatehouse. Just on the 9.2 for elected members in the participation in training and education, would that be something that would be delivered through LGAT or through Cyril Council specifically?
Through the Mayor, that's something that we've actually been discussing earlier today, and we're working out the best approach to that, which will occur at a council workshop.
Anything further? No? Everyone happy with this recommendation? The council resolved to endorse the updated safeguarding children and young people policy. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 18 on page 48, 18.1, the Executive Summary Financial Report, January 26. Recommendation that the Executive Summary Financial Report, January 2026 year to date be received and notified council. Can I have a move, please? Councillor Reid and Councillor Campbell. Thank you very much. Second. Open the floor.
I'm going to say again, if I may, I like the graphs. Keep them in there.
You're a visual person.
Well, they just sum up so much, don't they? And we're in good shape. It looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to comment that the Tasmanian Audit Officers increased their fees. Is the Tasmanian Audit Office, do they do all the councils? No.
Through there, there's a rotation. I couldn't tell you how many years it lasts, but they tend to rotate councils that are audited by Tas Audit and then those that are audited by the private sector. We had probably at least 5 years of external private audit before going back under the TAS audit umbrella. We're very lucky.
They did announce beforehand that they were putting their fees up, I think.
More than once.
So we don't have much of a choice to. Thank you.
Chair, if I might, it's a frequent topic at the audit panel, and a particular concern to audit panel chair, Rick DeSantis. So it certainly gets a lot of scrutiny.
And discussion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything further? No? All those in favour of the recommendation to receive and note financial report, January 2026, year to date, unanimous, thank you very much. Was that Councillor Marisada, was that a hand as well?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. 18.2, page 71, operating budget, mid-year budget review. The recommendation that Sorrel Council mid-year operating budget review be received and approved by Council. Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Campbell to second. Open floor. Councillor Larkins. Deputy Mayor Larkins.
Thank you, Mayor Gatehouse. Through you to General Manager is probably the best to answer. Is there a possibility to get an update on the South East Stadium progress, and what do we know about the impacts to Council's income from user fees, and also then secondly operating for the clubs?
Yeah, through the Mayor, the most recent program for the stadiums that will be operational by the end of the month, this month. There are impacts to council's revenue from not being able to use the stadium to its potential. We certainly had to quantify that to the insurers. So I need to clarify with the project manager around if that's forming part of the response of the insurers to us in a financial sense. So we certainly we had some like 2 years worth of data that we were able to provide, and we were able to forecast out based on assumptions around bookings. And that was the reason why we set the program to replace the floor so far in advance to try and minimise its uses as theoretical least. But I couldn't tell you off the top of my head exactly how much the revenue loss went today. It's not material, but it's enough to be annoying.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything further? No? Are you all happy with the recommendation? All those in favour of the recommendation that Sorrel Council mid-year operating budget review be received and approved by Council, please show hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. 18.3, financial management strategy. The recommendation that Council resolve pursuant to section 70 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the revised financial management strategy. Can I have a look at these? Councillor Cronius, Deputy Mayor Larkins, thank you very much. Open the floor. No? Okay. Murmurings from Councillor Reid.
Sorry,
Councillor Reid.
thank you. Oh, actually, sorry, I've lost my place.
88.
88.
Except 88.
I was looking at the wrong page. Apologies. On that, on page 87, it says there's no specific policy. I thought we had a policy to do with finance, or am I thinking about the strategy itself, perhaps?
Through there, I'm not sure what you're thinking, Councillor.
I don't know, but
We don't have, no, I mean, the strategy
is
Yeah, is the document itself,
Okay.
inclusive of the verbiage.
Yes.
We have policies around financial management in the sense of how we might do borrowings and how we deal with financial institutions, but no, the strategy is sort of our policy position on how we're going to manage ourselves in the future.
Thank you.
Are you happy? All those in favour of the recommendation? Unanimous, thank you very much. Turning the page to 18.4, capital budget adjustments. The recommendation that council resolve pursuant of section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the below adjustments to the 2025-2026 capital budget estimates. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Campbell to second. Thank you very much. Anything on this? Any comments on this? Questions?
I'd just like to,
Councillor
I'm a
Torres.
bit surprised at the price of the toilet at Linden Park. It's a UBF toilet, that one.
Yeah, so that was a tender we did last month. It's being re-tendered, but the approved budget was predicated on a modular, for want of a better term, a flat pack toilet, whereas I preferred that we did a better quality facility for that site, which is why we needed it's a completely different design, different scope, and carried with it a high cost, but it's coming back to council because we have to re-tendering it, as I'll explain separately.
And it would be more aesthetically pleasing to look at for a toilet.
Significantly.
And placed aesthetically somewhere.
It doesn't matter.
That's all right. Thank you.
Anything further?
Just a comment that it's good to see that we're, because of the forecasting, that we can see projects we need to do in the future, and especially for Dunalley to bring some of that work forward while we've got crews there ready to do it, to make it more cost effective long term. It's good.
Anything more?
Who do we, this, for the football club, for example, who do we use for architectural services? Is that something that, how does that happen?
Yeah, so we have through, for want of a better term, trial and error, we have a supplier that we've used fairly consistently for probably since COVID, I'd say, which is Jonathan Blood. I get the pronunciation wrong, it's Loki, but it's Greek, so someone else can do the pronunciation. Or is it Italian? I guess I'm looking at you for help. I'm not getting any help. Jonathan Blood, we'll just stick with his name.
Thank you.
Anything more? No? All those happy with the recommendation for these 2025-2026 capital budget adjustments? Councillor Reid, are you in or have a further question?
Sorry, I was deep in thought.
Thank you. Unanimous?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Right, moving over to page 105, item 22 on the agenda, South East Training and Jobs Hub Training Room hire rates. Recommendation that council endorses the proposed training room hire rates for the South East Training and Jobs Hub as outlined in this report. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Torres to second. Thank you. Any questions on this report here and the proposed hire fees? Deputy Mayor Larkins.
Thank you. Just looking at the user category definitions, what ability will council have to determine whether or not a community organisation may be booking the space compared to an individual who may unintentionally hide that they are a community organisation hiring with such different rates?
Through the mayor, I mean, we set this out in a way where, so Joe Cooper did the report and I had Oliver review it, and between the two of them looked at a range of other similar facilities and how, looking at the intent for what the space should be used for to maximise its usability for its intended purpose. So that's why the community rate is higher than sort of not-for-profit and government, because there's the general community use, if you like, there's a lot more appropriate and appropriately costed facilities available rather than that. So that comes at a premium, because actually what we need to maximise there is the proper training rather than just community use. So that explains the higher rates. It's in a sense a bit of a disincentive to use it for its non-intended use. So as far as the critiquing of who's community or who's not community, I don't have a great pre-prepared answer for you on that. I would need to make sure that when the bookings are done, that it's really clear and that it's properly monitored, so that we don't get some sneakiness around how it's being utilised. So it's set up and ready to go, the booking side, in terms of the being able to do it, but without higher rates that we can't hit the go button on it. So I don't know if you have a better response from me on that.
Only that through the hire form and the booking process, organisations are required to provide quite a bit of documentation around their insurances and things like that, so that and also the team that take the bookings are quite familiar with community groups and not-for-profits, so yeah, it would be unlikely that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
I was wondering about a similar thing for the scale. Am I correct in thinking our normal facilities high fees are basically just community or commercial? We don't differentiate beyond that. Is that true? And we advertise a community rate and effectively it's double for commercial. Is that the case?
For our other facilities, there's a community rate, and then there's a long-term hire community rate, which is a 20% discount on those fees, and the fee that's set by council effectively is the community rate, and if for the for-profits and private, we charge an additional 25% on top of the community rate, because the majority of our hires are community, so we apply that on top.
I discussed this with the mayor earlier. I was just a bit concerned about the perception created by having a community rate that's high, and also some confusion potentially between community and not-for-profit, and also being aware that some government organisations and government projects are very well funded and would normally attract a commercial rate or close to, rather than what's effectively a community rate. So I understand the rationale for this particular facility, but there are those sort of mixed messages, I suppose, that are a risk in going this way.
Through the Mayor, it's a bit of a new experience for us as well around having that type of facility. So we've got multiple tenants in there, all of whom their leasing arrangements include access to the training facility at no extra cost. And then there's this increasing demand to use the remaining sort of larger training space that's there, because the study hub's at the other end of that large room areas. That's off limits, if you like. And there's certainly an increasing number of training organisations, whether they're government or not-for-profit, are wanting to utilise it. So I guess we're just trying to protect it for its intended use first, given we do have so many other just for general community meeting, we've got a lot of facilities. At a lot less cost, so sort of, that's really not the intended purpose for that.
Just a comment, I do find it encouraging that we do have it included for not-for-profit to be defined as organisations that are providing free training. I think that's going to do wonders for engaging our youth to upskill, but also for our commercial operators to have confidence they are able to hire someone who's trained. So it's going to be a good win-win.
Providing more opportunities in the region.
Absolutely.
Anything further? No? In which case, can I put this recommendation to the vote, please? The council endorse the proposed training room hire rates for the South East Training and Jobs Hub as outlined in this report. Unanimous, thank you very much. Now we move on to page 109, which is questions from the public. Before we start, there are 3 questions on notice from the previous meeting from Mr. Brakey there at the back of the room, and the GM has responded to those questions. 3 footpaths in Dunalley, from Imlay Street towards Bay Road and towards Ryan's Lane. So, so the answers are there. I'll just let Mr. Brakey have a look at those. So we will open the floor to anybody who'd like to ask his question. Could you please stand and state your name?
Sharon Folleringham from Fawcett. If I ask a question and you can't give a specific answer, but is this council still considering uniting with Glamorgan Spring Bay? That came up in the last 12 months. Is that still on the cards?
I'll hand over to GM. I haven't heard or been no conversation.
It's gone very quiet. There was a need or a bit of a commitment and an expectation that the government may fund any necessary study on the feasibility of the 2 councils, but that didn't flow through to their budget, so it's sort of just forming a term ground to a halt. It's not off the table, I'm not actively pursuing it, nor I haven't been approached by Glamorgan Spring Bay, but principally because the funding that was needed, and also don't forget Break a Day Council as well as part of that broader consideration for the East Coast, and it's sort of in limbo until some funding's provided to do the modelling and the study.
Just concerned that you want this bike track. From my last look at it, Glamorgan Spring Bay financials were pretty dire, millions of dollars in debt. Is that still correct?
Through me, I haven't looked at their financials for a long time. If it came to fruition, a mountain bike track wouldn't tip it over the edge one way or the other. There's much bigger cost implications than just that.
Has the council considered that if you have this amalgamation, this council or 3 unified councils are going to have to foot the bill for the whole of the track, and as you stated previously, the Wylang to Forest Road, the government would probably put that onto this amalgamated council to maintain that. Is that not a big ask? And that should be put to the community, surely, if they want to back that.
So it's just not really worth worrying about at this stage, Sharon, because it's not an active project. There's no funding to investigate it. Glamorgan Spring Bay are already obligated to maintain Willangta Road, and I said before, it's roughly 2/3 of it's in their area, and they're already responsible to maintain that. And there's only about 6 or so kilometres that's in Sorrel. But the whole gamut of asset financial obligations with with any council that's going to potentially change is a huge consideration, and no modelling's been done on the validity of their finances or their asset assumptions as well. So I just, without being rude, I just haven't bothered to turn my mind to it because it's just there's no funding to do it, and other matters are more pressing.
One further question. I've had a few comments about how smelly the Carlton River is lately. Is this due, as far as the council, we're just a low water level, or is there a problem in the Carlton River with sewage, as there is in Primrose?
No, I believe it's just low. No, I'm not aware, but the water testing outside the Carlton River is good, so that would indicate that there isn't an issue with the river itself, and I would suggest that the water levels are low. Just dry banks.
Breaky Dunelly. In my questions, I was not asking for the path to continue with Boomer Bay Jetty only to the Bay Road intersection. It is not an engineering impossibility to go there. There is a lot less traffic than the Arthur Highway, and it's not nearly as dangerous for people from Boomer Bay and up to Craigs Hill Road. Why does council not seem to regard the safety of residents who live, walk, ride and exercise along the highway? These people matter and deserve to be safe, and I'll point to your safe of young people's policies because there's a lot of kids walk along that highway. Then on the vehicle safety side of it, or the road side of it, I think there was a lot of bureaucrats speak there for not doing this pathway in the near future. You say you design it, 90% of that path can be built by eye. And then, design may take 12 months, consideration of budget another 12 months, build of the path 12 months, you're looking at 2029, 2030. If council was serious about this path, it would be doing something about it now. We've been asking for about it for 13 years or more, and I've got other people in this room now who would verify that. And in your report on Action 3.3, implementation of the active transport strategy, you go on about proposed alignments and implementation of short-term priorities and planning for medium to long-term active transport initiatives through advocacy and engagement with state and federal governments on infrastructure planning, design and grant opportunities and consideration of stage capital projects, and advocate and plan for investment in infrastructures and services. It goes on and it finishes up saying contributing to improved recreational access and community wellbeing. Is that for the rural areas of the municipality or just in Sorell?
Yeah, I mean, through the mayor, there's no shortage of residences outside of existing built-up areas that want paths and tracks. That's consistent across so many roads where people have inquired about that and want that. At the moment, our financial plan has a provision to build at this stage, just a gravel path along the highway from Imlay to Ryans. As far as locking in when that will get done, we'll be doing that as part of this year's budget preparation, but there's many kilometres of road that people want paths on that we haven't made any provision for. So, and it's also not even a council road, so I think it's pretty reasonable that councils at least made provisions to build at the least a properly constructed gravel track. It may be that it becomes whether it's concrete or asphalt, but we've got to work through that process as part of this budget preparation. So at this stage, it was indicative to be next financial year. So I think it's in the circumstances, it's a pretty reasonable response from council, and I've certainly been talking to Department of State Growth, as I put in my response, around the fact that we do have some community concern and desire to have a path along there, and they recognise that as well. But the funding that's been provided for the Arthur High upgrades is going to go to, at this stage, it's likely to go to other projects, and it'll instead be relying on council financing a new path on a state road. So that's my response to those questions.
I realise it's a state road, but there are, we pay rates to the council, and, we're not paying rates to the Department of Main Roads. The council's responsibilities are the footpaths, as far as we're concerned.
The councillors are meeting with the Minister later this week.
And I'm sure you told me at an earlier meeting last year that it would be in the 25-26 budget.
Well, as the GM said, we have demands and not other priorities, but the long-term financial.
You have got other priorities, yeah, for sure. But there's been no infrastructure money spent in Dunalley in virtually the GM's tenure. At least not since the bushfires, and if not before, which is 13 years ago.
Yeah, I can't answer beyond my
The GM told me that at one of the other meetings we've had, when I asked what infrastructure was spent in Dunalley over the last 10, 13 years.
I previously provided that response as an earlier question or notice to you, Bob, around and he's right. I mean, as far as expenditure for new assets in Dunalley post the bushfire rebuild and the hall rebuild and the playground and other facilities, paths, tennis courts. So there was some new assets built, and there was some new replacement assets as well. So beyond that, there hasn't been, beyond normal maintenance and renewals of existing assets, there hasn't been a great deal of expenditure. I've already explained that.
Yeah, well, the hall and tennis courts were basically insurance. The rest was money raised for the township of Dunalley by the residents of Australia. And every town deserves a playground for their kids, which Dunalley never had prior. So why shouldn't it get a playground? Okay, and a tiny little skate park. Terrific, that's great. I applaud that. And council did oversee the spending of the money. And not all the money that was raised was actually spent in Dunalley either.
I can't answer for that, Bob. I don't know, and I know there was money coming from multiple sources. Coming back to the footpath, we've committed to a stretch of footpath which we can afford within our budget. Considering our rates are spread over the whole municipality, and you'd appreciate that. And we've spoken with the Minister, he is aware of this. The logistics of creating a footpath on a state road, and then I believe that road then becomes our responsibility. Yeah, but becomes our responsibility. So, it is work in progress. We are a growing municipality. Our rate base is increasing, as it is down in Dunalley too. So in the short term, we can take this to the Minister again when we meet him as councillors later this week, and we'll stress and reiterate the need down there. And then we will work through the budget process, and come next year, we'll work from there. I mean, if we could provide everything that everybody wanted there and then, and I know this has been a long-term ask, if we could provide that, then that would be absolutely glorious. There is a really long wish list both from community and what the council would like to provide for the community, what other municipalities have with a greater rate base, they can afford to gift the community these things. But unfortunately, we're not in the position to just do them. We are better off than we used to be, and it is growing.
From Craigs Hill Road to Imlay Street, there's 80 odd residences plus shacks and a couple of businesses that would benefit from the path. My next door neighbour, she's just got a motorised electric scooter. She'd like to go for a ride along the path on a day like today. She can only go up and down the driveway at the moment because unless she goes onto the main road. Now, who's going to be silly enough to drive along the main road in Dunalley?
Well, this is a thing we can take to the minister, and this we will take later this week. All the councillors here have taken note, and we will take it to the minister and put this case forward. And that currently, that's all that we can do at the moment, and it has been noted, and the GM has it on his massive wallpaper spreadsheet for work in progress, and that's how we have to leave it.
My son's also on a mobility scooter. He's got one leg. He'd like to be able to go up to the post office and get his mail.
We understand that,
Beautiful
Bob.
day like today, and
And
they
I'm
just
so-
can't get out.
No, and I'm sorry that he's in that position and you're in that position and your neighbour is too, but currently we are not in a position to fund a footpath, the footpath that you desire.
I think, okay, maybe it's a gravel one, but I think council should have been thinking about this a long time ago. And I'm pretty disappointed in council for not thinking about it, because I'm not the only person that's been asking, my little committee, we're not the only people that have been asking for this footpath.
Okay, noted. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Next. Who'd like to go next?
They can go.
Toss a coin.
Hi, I'm Guy Cuthbertson from the Dodgers Ferry Horse Riding Club here in Pembroke Park. We recently got notification that of all the sports upgrades that we're going to lose part of our ground, and we're a little bit disappointed because the ground has been taken more of from the soccer, from the previous thing. What we really ought to know is what's the time frame that we have got that the soccer ground is moving onto our ground, and how long have we got, so we can sort things out and get things moving, and move like into the Myanna Park area. Like, what is the time frame?
Well, through the mayor, I can't give a firm time frame at this point, Guy. We're working through the master plan review for the complex at Pembroke, inclusive of the available land at Myanna. We're at the point where it's able to be finalised, but I want to get, there's different body work being done for the Greater Hobart Councils around sport and rec infrastructure, and I want to see that before we commit to our master plan review, because there's implications across the whole Hobart Metro around distribution of facilities and what's needed and where they should be. Ideally, we're mindful of you're at least sort of 2 to 3 years still on your current lease.
Yeah.
We need to cost all the different aspects that the master plan proposes, work out what we can and can't afford and when we may do it. So, for argument's sake, if we're able to hit the go button now on building a new soccer field, we need to negotiate with the horse riding club as to where they would need to go, because whilst the lease is current, without the consent of the club, we can't just move you out of the way. So
no.
There needs to be negotiation around, well, where's an alternate site, which is why we discussed other options as well, the viability of those, the pros and cons of those. So, we commit to still engage with you and work out how we may approach this. But until we lock in the cost estimates for all the components, and until I see this Greater Hobart strategy as well, I can't give you time as to when exactly we may look to do additional work that'll affect your lease area.
Yeah.
But we're mindful that, similarly with other facilities that we've had to move to make way for other projects, that there'd be a bit of an obligation on council to set up a new facility and its extent to what that new facility would be, which we need to sort out as well, because at the moment you've just basically got a lease of land only, and basically all the work that's been done on there, the club's done. So there's a bit to chew through, and really just, we wanted to explore those other sites, the viability and practicalities or not, and what benefits there are, as well as some of the impacts as well. So, it'd be a case that council will be in contact with the club around what we want to do and when we want to do it and how we're going to do it. It's not just going to happen and suddenly you turn up and there's a padlock on the gate or the dozers run through the ground. So that's, I don't know if I answered your question. I also went off on a bit of a tangent there.
Timeline.
No. You answered the question. It's just that we're trying to move ahead, and we've been trying to do that for a long time, and this has always been over our head. And we're getting to the stage where are we going to move ahead, and we can't move ahead.
I mean, through the mayor, we're at a point where council's financial position might be such that we can start to do some things at Pembroke which will have a direct bearing on you guys. And so part of that consideration is, well, we also need to make sure we can facilitate a move, help facilitate a move so we can get these other things done. So we haven't been in that situation until now. And with that whole facility, everyone has a different opinion about what should go and where and who should pay for it and why aren't we doing this or that and the other. But which is why I want to get this other body, I want to see it, because that is looking at the entire metro footprint, the demographic profile of that and what the forecast growth is, all the sports that are played in Hobart, looking at all the governing bodies and the government around where is the best location to put these things, and making sure the councils then commit to following that, so we don't duplicate unnecessary, very expensive facilities, and making sure we put them in the best location. So, for basically the last 10 years, we haven't been in a position to know with any certainty the what and the when, and we're very close now to doing that. And as it impacts your lease area, when we know that with some more certain, you'll be the first to know.
And we as the council, we weren't aware of the regional overview when we embarked on our master plan, which in hindsight, it would have been wonderful to know the outcome of that larger body of work before we started on the master plan. So as Robert said, it's kind of put us in the mud a little bit and slowed us down in terms of progress. But you have three potential sites on the table. So there is time to consider, for you guys to consider which is best fit for you. And as Robert said, we will help support and facilitate that decision.
Well, like I said, I think I've explained it to most of you that those other two sites where we're talking was Copping and Dunalley, it just would ruin the club.
The distance.
Yeah.
That's right, because your core users are. Core members are.
Sorell is a rural sort of area, and it'd be nice to still keep the horses in that area.
Yeah.
It'd be great. I mean, Hobart wouldn't have horses in the middle of Hobart, but
absolutely. So Myena Park is still on the map.
Yeah, that would be great.
And I'm sorry that there was, there's been some confusion over that matter and chatter on the socials, negative chatter on the socials, and it's that confusion has just created unnecessary worry. So I'm sorry that's occurred.
And I just want to say thank you for the quick reply on our questions that we sent out to all the councillors. So, thank you. Anything you want to say?
So a couple of questions because I'm not
Thank
really
you.
clear with regards to the timeline and what you're talking about, two different plans. The soccer, we believe, is fairly well funded to go ahead fairly soon. That takes probably 50% of our grounds. And previous plan by Inspiring Places, it took a margin of the grounds and that was quite feasible to do. You said here that well, basically we went the other day and we looked at the two alternative sites down at Copping and Denali. However, here you've said that the Myona Park site has not been determined to be unsuitable. Why would we be looking at alternative sites if the current site is suitable? So you said, yeah, questions are, is it feasible to move down to the water end of Myona Park, which is smaller than what we've got now, and it seems that there's a lot of questions or concerns with that going ahead. And with where we are now, even if soccer did take part of that, there's a fair section of Myona Park that where the menship is going to go up directly adjacent, which would be suitable land for that purpose. And in the Inspiring Places plan, it's just got down alternative sports, and they're not looking to be moving there and for 10 to 20 years. So can council please look at the option? Obviously soccer is going to move into that site and not really consulted on that, but that looks to be in the fairly near future. Would it be quite viable to extend our site next door into Myona Park, as there's no specified purpose for that apart from alternative sports to be specified at a later date?
There's a few questions there. It might be better this discussed separately in this council meeting, but there's council's in a better position to potentially be able to finance an additional soccer pitch, but that we're considering all our projects over the next 10 years in the next couple of months, and that's one of many projects being considered, inclusive of a path through Dunalley. So I can't provide a commitment as to when that's going to happen at this stage. We're considering it amongst a whole range of projects around the municipality. Our view on securing the South East Sporting Complex at Pembroke for long-term sport and recreation infrastructure, again, what's been proposed, looking at the existing size of your lease area, it wouldn't fit, it need to go on the other side of that access road, so sort of that goes to that subdivision, so over on the Myona Park side. It's probably
You need to go over the access road though. There's a walking path there, like a walking track there now, and if you extended close to that, that would be sufficient. Saying it's got to go over, extend over the road is probably access road.
I think it's going to be easier, rather than debating it now, it's probably easier that we sit down and go through the detail again around how the proposed master plan works, our thoughts around where the facility could go and the best place for it. The reason why we had that discussion with Guy a week or so ago was around some of the potential limitations with the sort of far corner of Myona with the proximity of that residential subdivision. So these things we can discuss separately, and happy to discuss them with you so you get an understanding of our rationale and logic to it, but it might be better than doing it sort of here when we don't have everything in front of us.
When is the finalisation of that plan? Is that not to come shortly?
Through the mail, I want to see, so it's largely done. The only we're still doing a final review, and one aspect is going to be what happens to the horse riding site, where it might end up. So that hasn't been resolved, and also, as I said, I want to see this Greater Hobart body of work first, because that will potentially have very strong implications for what this shows.
Yeah, so will the master plan adoption be delayed until these situations are resolved?
Yeah, so it's as soon as I get this other body of work, I'll look to get the master plan before council. But we need to have a further discussion with the horse riding club around the sort of final location of where the facility may be.
just once again, Robert, what we'll plan on doing is we'll drawing up sizes of different things so we can be more specific of what we need. So we can send something through on size of land and that sort of stuff.
That would be helpful, thank you.
No worries, thank you.
Can I go now? Good. Evening all. You know what I'm going to ask about. I met up with Joe Cooper after the last council meeting, and I was hoping that there might be something interesting tonight. Robert?
Through the Mayor, what I can confirm is that our arborist has looked at those trees that aren't on our land and has deemed them to be entirely safe in his view as an experienced arborist. The public trustee has contacted council, who are now finally looking at all those estate titles, of which there's a myriad of dotted around the place. We've provided a view on what we may or may not want. The only ones we're suggesting we might be interested in is where it's an existing road. Beyond that, we're not interested. And only if, in terms of the existing road, if it's a simple transfer, we're interested. If they want us to purchase, well, I want to see what those costs are going to be. That's the update.
You sound very promising.
It has drawn the attention of the minister as well. He has been contacted to see if this guy Barnett, to see if he can look into the land ownership. So we're waiting to hear back from him as well.
Could I have something in writing? I mean, I'm old and I forget things. I'd like something in writing.
Well,
From the council's perspective or from
Yes,
the minister's
that would be
perspective?
lovely.
Can I ask that, so we're going to meet with the public trustee first, and then maybe post that we're a bit clearer on what, because the public trustee's got land parcels that they potentially could sell as well, which we're not interested in. But I need to meet with them first to get clarity on the process and the potential cost before I can be sort of definitive with you as far as, of all these various titles, this is what council's position is. I think by virtue of the contact with Minister Barnett is possibly why the public trustee is finally dealing with it.
We'll get there.
How long will all this take? I mean, I could be dead by the time you get all this stuff. I am getting on in years.
We don't know.
How long I'll go for.
Just keep going and then you will get your answer. Hang on. You don't hang on. Thank you. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the gallery? From the public? No? No? Well, thank you for your contributions to tonight's meeting. We will now head into a closed meeting. So the recommendation that the meeting be closed to the public to enable council to consider agenda items 24.1 to 24.3, which are confidential matters as prescribed in regulations 14 and 17 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2025. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins, Councillor Reid. Thank you. All those in favour?
Yes.
We'll take it as unanimous. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.